Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calisters.
And today is Sunday, July 30th, 2017. This is episode 287. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. So, how have y'all been? Good, I hope. It's been not too hot out here, even though we're in the midst of summer, It's been in the 80s, and it'll actually be relatively cool coming up here in the 70s, so. But then, we'll get another heat wave or two before summer is over. But I did notice yesterday that it is getting darker earlier, which is a little sad. A little fun. 8:30 in the sun setting. It's better than 4:45 in the depths of winter.
Or like 3:15.
But anyway, so let's get started with a quick recap of our past 2 weeks. Not much going on in my life other than pretty much being chained to the dye pots, prepping for all the shows we have going on. This past weekend, Andy and I vended at the Crochet Guild of America's annual Chain Link Conference, and it was held in Itasca, Illinois this weekend, which is right outside of Chicago, and it travels every year. Next year it'll be in Portland, which is a bit too far for us to travel, but we were lucky enough to have them stop by close to home, and we were able to vend, and it was a whole new world for us. I just really kept thinking over the weekend that it epitomizes a Venn diagram, which is kind of redundant, and when you compare anything, you have a Venn diagram, but there is crocheting, and there's knitting, and there is the part that overlaps, but the vast majority that are on the outsides, they are two vastly different worlds with a lot of common threads, no pun intended. So
Pun intended.
It was a new experience for us. We got to meet a lot of new people whom had never heard of us before, so that was really good. And the hotel was utterly beautiful. It was the Westin in Itasca, and there was a ton of weddings every day, but it was just, they had an open atrium and a wonderful bar that we ate at the first night, and they had a Starbucks in the lobby, and they had a nice restaurant, which we did not eat at, but so it was a decent event for us. Like I said, a new experience, so we were glad to be able to partake in that, and got to catch up with some vendors that we do shows at, and a lot of us will be up in Schaumburg next weekend at Stitches Midwest, which we are so looking forward to, but so stressing to get as much ready to go in the next 3 days as we can do. So there's that. And really nothing else has been going on. I attempted to go to the dentist to get my cleaning that I had scheduled like 6 months ago, and realized I no longer have dental insurance. So I'm waiting to get that in line here soon so that I can get that done. And went to knitting a couple of times, which was good times as all. My local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, Illinois, has a new venture going on with a yarn club that she's sponsoring. So it's really exciting what's going on there. And went to lunch with my mom and sister on Wednesday. Other exciting news, my sister is kind of the new employee of Leading Men Fiber Arts. She's going to be the master reskeiner extraordinaire, and she's been working for us the past week, helping out. And she's coming over a little bit later today to learn how to split up gradients and mini skeins. So it has been a blessing to be able to take some of that work off of our hands and allow us to do more dyeing and to get more quantity out. So that's pretty much been my 2 weeks in review. If anything else pops into my head, I'll make sure to interrupt Callie and let you know.
My last 2 weeks have been really busy. This week starts our fair week. Yesterday was fair setup. As you can tell, I'm starting my Shades of Lobster. So
she's got that sun glow on her.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. But it's going well. Not much to comment there. It's been a little bit of a... I was telling someone this past Friday, I said, this week has been a range of emotions because it didn't start off on the highest of notes, and I got to see my niece, my best friend's daughter, on Friday, so it was like from low to high, and then, everything in between, so that was really good to be able to see her and my best friend. So, yeah, I probably will be not very easily reachable in the next week because of fair, and then after that is a pretty hellacious week, so it's going to be busy, 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 and then we'll be even more busy, so
pretty much the next time we record, you're going to have bags under your eyes, like, hanging past your chin.
yeah, and I'll probably be, like, 8 shades of, like, lobster, so.
Speaking of 8 shades of lobster, I did forget to tell you guys one thing. Are you done, though? I don't want to officially interrupt you.
No, I know what you're gonna say.
Yes, but so. I just want to make sure I'm not interrupting you.
No.
Okay. Darn, I was hoping to. No, just kidding. I'm not that horrible of a person. So, 8 Shades of Lobster. Andy and I have officially booked our vacation. I talked about this last time and I was asking for some recommendations, and a lot of you did give us recommendations. Thank you so very much. We did some research and we actually narrowed it down to Cancun. And after my not so excitedness about having to fly, we looked at a few resorts. We were ready to book one, and then I started looking and I found a different one that I was potentially interested in. We researched that one a little bit more, and that is the one we went with. So we'll be going in mid-November to Cancun, and we're staying at LeBlanc Resort, which is an all-inclusive adult resort. So I'm super excited about that. I've heard it's kind of the end of the down season before, tourist season really picks up, so hopefully it won't be too crowded. And we're really looking forward to just relaxing. So we've kind of going in style. Like I said, it's our 10-year anniversary gift to ourselves, so which is coming up on Friday. We did book a nice dinner at Stitches that we're going to go to on Friday for our anniversary. But the trip is kind of the big gift. So we're flying business class for the first time. I said, you're gonna give me this luxury, whenever we fly. I'm never gonna go back to first class because I really hate flying. Not only for heights and claustrophobia, but
you mean you won't go back to coach? Not first
class.
Oh.
Coach, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm thinking mailing because first class is is lower than like priority.
Right.
Anyway, I don't fly that often because I hate it. I even paid a little bit extra so that I could do a direct flight because I did not want to have to take off and land more than I have to because that's the worst part for me. So, hoping to not turn 8 Shades of Lobster. We are going to buy several sunscreens now so that, because I was like, well, in November, I'm not sure how much sunscreen is going to be available. I'm sure you can find it, but I did buy new swim trunks and a sun shirt so that I can look super trendy. We're trying to find me like a Panama hat that'll actually fit my big dome. It's harder said than you would think. I have the big head. So, so I'm super excited about going on vacation. It'll be good. We have not been on vacation since New York, and if you've been a long-time viewer, you know how long ago that was. So, anyway, that's our weeks in review. Let's move on into knitting. So, what's taking a bow this episode? I actually have 2 finished objects. Could have been 4 if I had a little bit more time, but that means I'll have 2 more for you next episode. So, my 2 finished objects were finished at the event this weekend. I've taken to knitting worsted weight hats in a variety of our colors for Leading Men Fiber Art so that I can take swatch photos so you guys can see what it looks like knit up. And then I'm collecting them to do a big donation for our Operation Chemo Comfort drive that we'll be doing this fall again. So I had showed this last episode that I cast on for a worsted weight hat out of Leading Men Fiber Arts box office in Tequila Sunrise, and I'm really happy with the way this came out. So it seems that I knit the brim on a size 6. I cast on 96 stitches. I do 2x2 rib for 2 inches, and it seems like I usually get some spiraling, some flashing going on, pooling. in the brim, but then usually it breaks up into some pretty awesome variegatedness in the hat. I bump up to a size 8 and just do basic stockinette until the whole hat measures 8 inches, and then I do a basic crown decrease, which, you know, you can pick your favorite crown decrease to put on the hat. So it is slouchy. Like, again, we've talked about why I knit them that way. One, it's easy for me, and two, comfortable for a variety of head sizes, including this big dome. So there's that. That's Tequila Sunrise. And then I balled up 2 more skeins, and I finished another hat. And it was Christmas in July, y'all, while I was knitting on this yesterday and finishing this up. So this is, again, Leading Men Fiber Arts Box Office in the I'll Meet You by the Mistletoe colorway. So again, it pooled, flashed in the brim, and I was like, well, I'm going to have to embrace it and just be like, it's super cool and pooly and flashy. And then it did something fun and broke up in the hat again. So I was super excited about that. And, you know, it is what it is. Got a fun hat. Can't deny that it's fun. Can't deny that it's fun. I don't know what I'm saying. Just go with me, y'all. It's been a long weekend. It's been a long couple of weeks, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Callie can attest to that in both of our lives. So Christmas in July. There we go. So, same needle sizes, same stitch count, everything. So, finished both those hats this weekend. Nice. Did you finish anything?
I didn't. If I would have had a little bit more time, I would have had this done. But
awesome.
Such is life.
Do you want to talk about what you're working on?
Sure. I am working on the Snow Day shawl by Mina Phillips, and I'm right in the middle of a row.
I am too. That's why I won't be done either one at a time.
So anyways, So it starts off, you have a garter section and then a textured section and so forth, and it repeats. So I'm on the last texture section, and then I'll have another section of garter and then the bind off. And I really like this, and as I said in the last episode, Mina writes flawless patterns. I mean, when I say flawless, like, they are super easy to read, to understand. She has, I don't know, compared to other patterns, but this pattern, there's stitch counts on every row, and it's just been really helpful and really easy to do. So if you're looking to, you know, find a new knitwear designer, I think Mina is worth trying. She does really great work. And the other project that I'm doing is I cast on at night, because I stopped by the shop and I had finished working out, and I didn't bring anything because I wasn't for sure what my schedule was going to be like, because it was the week before fair setup. So I purchased Bob Manhattan in the Because I'm Happy in the Manhattan base. Or it's Because I'm Happy colorway. It's 30% cashmere, 70% merino, and it's 400 yards. But this is the colorway. And I really like it. I like yellow in general.
Because you're happy.
Yeah. That's what I tried to tell myself when I bought it.
Boom!
So, it's coming along.
It's a boomeranging.
Yep.
That's why I did the boom
Yep.
noise.
So, it's on a size 4 US needles. My Snow Day shawl, I should say, is on a size 7 US, and which is kind of big for me because I never use the same size needle as what is called for in the pattern, but I am. And I'm using Cascade Superwash Sport. So, yeah.
You made some decent progress on it, though, and it's coming along. I really, really, really do like your color choices on that.
Yeah, because the last episode I was still on the white section, so you can imagine that that's quite a bit of progress for me.
Awesome sauce. All right, well, what's been worked on in my world? A little bit on everything, but not a whole lot of progress. But it is what it is. So the first thing is my starting point mystery knit along, which is no longer a mystery, by Joji Locatelli. I've been showing you the progress on the first half, and I started the second half last episode and didn't get much farther. So I'll show you that. This is all being knit out of Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer. in 5 colors: a custom speckle, darkest hour, smoky quartz, double your pleasure, and London fog. And I think that I was in the green section last time, and I did a little of the speckle, a little black, and I'm back in the speckle. So, and that's on a size 6 US, which is a 4mm needle. The second thing that I've been working on is Gill's Rock by Paula Emmons Feasley, and I'm knitting this out of Quince & Company Finch, I believe. Yep, in the slate colorway, and this is on a size 6 as well, US 4mm needle. And this is what I'm working on. I have 3 more rows in the bind-off left, y'all. 3.5 more rows. So, again, it is going to be a small shawl. But I do want to show it to you blocked out, because I think I can get some growth out of this shawl by blocking it. So, I'm just doing the garter edging, and then I'll do a suspended bind-off and block it out. So, there's that. Third, is my Bell Star socks. This is out of Show Me Yarn's boot heel base in the Bell Star colorway. And I am done with the body of the second sock, and I'm working on the heel. I had to stop last night. We almost were home, and so I just have to continue decreasing the heel, which is essentially a second toe, and then Kitchener that up, and I've got to do the heel on the second. The first sock. This was actually the second one I knit. Not that it matters. Anyway, so there's that, and I'm knitting that on a size 1 US, which is a 2.25mm needle. And after that is my Death Rides a Tart Horse Garter Stitch Stripe Boomerang. And I got a little bit of love on this one night, I think, while watching TV with Andy. I think we were watching House of Cards, which I did not put on my list, but we got through episode 2 of season, whatever this is, 5. So, there's that. And this is on a size 6 as well, 4mm needle. It seems to be my favorite needle. And then I again forgot to put in my show notes The Girl from the Grocery Store by Hoagie Locatelli. And I am knitting this with Hedgehog Fibers sock in the Juniper and Spell colorways. And I actually did weave in all my ends when I started working on it this week, and then I took it to knitting and got a few more ends, but here we are so far. So I'm at, there should be 10 total stripes before you start the lace. I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So that's going. Didn't even know I was making that much progress. But I guess when I go to knitting a couple of times, it helps. Yeah. So, last but not least is my current hat that I started yesterday after I finished the mistletoe hat. And this one is a semi-solid, and it's my lip gloss Be Poppin'. My lip gloss be cool. No? Okay. Anyway, Callie knows that
I
song.
do.
So again, size 6 and 8 US, same thing that I talked about with the hats previously. So
I know that when the Women's March on Washington was going on, there was a lot of women that have bought this colorway and used it as their pussy hats.
Yep, and I think it will be very good too, even for the Cancer Society, because of, you know, the pink ribbon and things of that nature. So it's a color I had not had knit up or have a picture of. So we'll see what colors I pick this weekend at Stitches, because I'm going to need 3. I can usually average about a hat a day, so I bring about a skein for every day we're vending. So we'll see what I pick this weekend. So that's that. That's all that I'm working on. Just those few things. So let's talk about what's in rehearsal. What for you, Callie?
I really have no idea at this point, because all I can think about is making it through next week and the week after. So I don't know. I'll be honest.
All up in the air. For me, as I said, more hats. Because they're quick, easy, and I can pick them up and drop them down whenever I need to. And I foresee it to be a busy weekend, so we'll see how much knitting I do get done this weekend. All right, let's talk about behind the scenes. My spinning. I am still currently working on some Leading Men Fiber Arts Superwash Merino in the That Somewhere colorway, which looks like this. This is the last third of the second 2 ounces. I'm doing a 2-ply fractal spin, and so I just have this to spin up and then to ply it. I'm not going to have it done by stitches in 4 days to take to the show. So there's that. So no hand spun at stitches. I'm sold out currently. But it's not like I have a lot of inventory of hand spun all the time anyway. So enjoying that. So let's move on into the scene shop. So what's going on in the scene shop? That's where we talk about our other crafts that are going on. I'm still giving some time to my cross stitch, which right now I'm working on a dimensions kit called In the Moment, and it says Live Life in the Moment. And I've either decided that my mom showed interest in it when I bought the kit. It's either going to go to her when it's done in like 8 years, or there is room above the doorway when you exit my house, like a living room back addition area, and I'm like, it'd be nice to have that as you walk out the house, like live life in the moment, take each day as it is, that type of thing. So again, it's on the Q-snap, but you can see I made some progress on the eye there than last time, so working my way through there. I'm currently doing some half stitches, holding 3 strands of this blue, so it's going, like putting in a few stitches here and there. So there's that. Alright, in the spotlight, what are we watching and reading? Well, some shows that I'm watching. I told you we watched an episode of House of Cards, though we do love House of Cards. So if you have Netflix, watch House of Cards. We are continuing to watch The Great British Baking Show. We do have this episode to watch from this past week, so maybe we'll get some time for that tonight. As we were gone this weekend. The Strain on FX is back on, so it's been on for the past now. The 3rd episode of this season will air tonight. And I've been kind of catching up with it after the fact on FX On Demand if you put in your cable provider online. So it's kind of taken a jump forward by almost a year. And if you don't know, The Strain is about these kind of vampire zombie things that kind of have stingers that come out and drain your blood, but it's also like a virus thing. So there was big hoopla with nuclear bomb going off at the end of season 4, and so we've kind of jumped forward, and it's kind of the aftermath. And the big thing this season is now there's no constant battle. It's now trying to work together in what's called the partnership, so that they work. But essentially, humans are second-class citizens. And so it's an interesting take. So we'll see where the season continues to go. So there's that. And I did forget to look up some books I've been reading. So have you been watching any TV while I look up my books?
I have. One of the things that, or one of the shows that I DVR'd throughout the season was Modern Family. So I finally caught up with all of those episodes from this past season. And that was really good. I like Modern Family because it's kind of like potato chip knitting, or like just potato chips in general, where it's like, oh, I can just like have one and be good, and then like you're 7 shows deep into the season with only like 6 left, and you're like, yeah, I mean, maybe I can like take a break. So that's nice. I mean, like pretty much the DVR is now wiped off. I was gonna start watching Big Brother this year again, more consistently than I did last summer, but I decided not to, mostly because of how busy my schedule was going to be for this summer, and who knows what the future holds for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There hasn't been a whole lot. I have been reading. I'm still reading All These Wonders, the Moth collection. And I'm almost done with this one section. I've kind of like there's like sections in each of in the book, and they're on different themes and that kind of thing. And I'm almost done with this theme, And it has been, because I'm reading like one story a day, like before I go to work, and then like one story when I come home. It's been really rewarding because it's like treat reading.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of it is that, like, I think this section, among all of the other sections that I have read thus far in the book, has been the most personal, reflective, like in reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And I really cannot stress enough how much I love them off in general. But this collection of stories has been really great. And I know that I've heard some of them live before, so.
Awesome. So you're reading some thought-provoking things that are really, touching you on the inside. Like I said, I've been turning to audiobooks and listening to them for the majority of my days anymore. So I've actually finished 3 books, and, in the middle, I just started the 4th one, and I don't know how I feel about it. Sometimes the teacher in me, I'm still like, oh, these books are popular with my kids. I should read these. And I have 2 YA books, one I've started, one I haven't, that I'm just like, oh my gosh, the trials and tribulations. I'm like, this is so much like this other book. YA is very formulaic writing. Like, you have the basic plot structure and you just go with it. So, anyway, the first one that I have finished recently is called Zombie Fallout, and this is part of the Zombie Fallout series. It's book 1 by Mark Tufio. I rated this 4 stars. I've realized I like zombie books. I don't know, I've listened to quite a few of them, but it's like all of them, again, formulaic writing to a certain point, but I did enjoy the ride. It was, kind of the breakout of a virus that turns people into zombies and how you're going to survive. And but the protagonist is very self-deprecating, and there's a lot of comedy in there. So I enjoyed that. It does jump around a little bit in narration, and there was 1 or 2 comments about homosexuality that were very quick here over them, but I was like, that wasn't needed. So that got to me a little bit, but I did enjoy the book overall. I'm sorry, my nose is itching. It is what it is. So, after that, I read Lock In, and this is part of, I guess, buying all the series. Lock In number 1, and this is by John Scalzi. This was actually narrated by Will Wheaton. But he was actually pretty good. So I'm going to read you the book description on this as quickly as I can. But I really enjoyed it. I rated this 5 stars. And there was a novella at the end that kind of went back and gave you more backstory into how this story came into being. So it says, a blazingly inventive near-future thriller from the best-selling Hugo Award-winning John Scalzi. Not too long from today, a new, highly contagious virus makes its way across the globe. Most who get sick experience nothing worse than flu, fever, and headaches. But for the unlucky 1%, and nearly 5 million souls in the United States alone, the disease causes lock-in. Victims fully awake and aware, but unable to move or respond to stimulus. The disease affects young, old, rich, poor, people of every color and creed. The world changes to meet the challenge. A quarter of a century later, in a world shaped by what's now known as Hayden syndrome, rookie FBI agent Chris Shane is paired with veteran agent Leslie Vann. The 2 of them are assigned to what appears to be a Hayden-related murder at the Watergate Hotel, with a suspect who is an integrator, someone who can let the locked in borrow their bodies for a time. If the integrator was carrying a Hayden client, then naming the suspect for the murder becomes that much more complicated. But complicated doesn't begin to describe it. As Shane and Van begin to unravel the threads of the murder, it becomes clear that the real mystery and the real crime is bigger than anyone could have imagined. The world of the locked-in is changing, and with this change comes opportunities that the ambitious will seize at any cost. The investigation that began as a murder case takes Shane and Van from the halls of the corporate power to the virtual spaces of the locked-in, and to the very heart of an emerging, surprising new human culture. It's nothing you could have expected. So, while I initially got this book because I was like, oh, it's kind of like a murder mystery cop drama, it is so much more than that, and it deals with societal classes and how we treat one another, and done in a futuristic kind of technological age. And there's a whole part to this plot that is not even given in that description. So I would highly recommend Locked In. I believe it's been out for 2 years. I'm not sure how much more is in the series, but I may be looking for that in the future. The last book that I just finished in the last few days is called The Doll Maker, and this is by Richard Montanari. And this, I guess, is part of a series as well. It's the Jessica Balzano and Kevin Byrne series. This is book 8 in the series. But this is your typical serial killer cop drama, which I enjoy as well. So basically what's happening is there are people being murdered and dolls being left at the scene, which are dolls from the previous murder that these serial killers have done. And there's a whole backstory. While I enjoyed it, and it was, again, formulaic writing for that type of writing, everything kind of fit together too neatly. If you've ever had a story that way, where you're just like, oh, come on. How can this be related to that be related? Everything just kind of falls into place. So that was my one qualm with the book. I think I did give it 3 stars, though. So those are the books that I finished.
Nice.
All right. Let's move along. Let's talk about our featured designer knit along.
Yes.
Over to you, Callie.
Our featured designer knit along started June 1 and will conclude on August 31. And you can use any pattern from any of our featured designers. It can be a free pattern. It can be a pattern that you won. It can be a pattern that you already have in your library. You can use any base of yarn. If you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn, you can enter your finished object in the FO thread twice. Any further questions, you can earburn me on Rav, or you can send me a private message. So.
If you need a quickly responded question, just earburn me over the next week or two, as Kelly's going to be very busy.
Yep.
If you are wondering who our featured designers have been in the past, there is a locked thread in our group up towards the top, and you can just take a look, and Kelly's done a wonderful job of linking those designers to their pattern page.
We are very grateful to all of our featured designers. They have been great to us over the years, so we would like to give back to them. So if you've won a pattern from a previous thread that they sponsored, then that would be great to finally do that pattern if you haven't done so already.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, let's talk about stash enhancement, because as much as I was like, I'm going to be good, let's just throw that to the wind. Because I just said I was getting some future shopping done before this weekend. Because I already told Andy Stitches Midwest I'm probably not going to be that great this weekend. Because there's quite a few new dyers or dyers that I put off buying from that I want to get some product from. Because I sound like now a drug dealer. I want to get some product from my peeps. So there were 2 vendors there that are going to be at Stitches, but I just said I'm going to get this shopping done now, and then it won't seem so bad this coming weekend. So a dyer that I've had the pleasure of seeing and never really had the time or the opportunity to connect with is Shirsty Cat Designs. And so we had a little bit of time to catch up, and I was in and out of her booth a couple of times, and I was talking to her, and then all of a sudden I was pairing colors together, and that's not good when everything, because all the popular things now have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors, and you want them to kind of coordinate. And so I'm just sitting there talking to her, and I'm placing all these color combos together, and then I was like, okay, I can't get these, I said, because I will be hurt when I go back to my booth. But I said, I'm going to put these right here. If I get permission, I'll come back. But if somebody buys them, you're welcome, because I just put them together. And so I got permission, because Andy loves me and can't say no to me. And so I got 4 skeins of her BFL sock, which is a 75% superwash BFL, 25% nylon, 464 yards. I got 4 skeins, and I now have my set for the Bambara wrap, is what it's actually called, by Amba O'Brien. So this first one is called Antique Gown, and it looks kind of neutral, but it actually has the faintest purple overwash to it. It is so light and delicate, but it's going to tie everything together. So you ready? So then we go from the faint purple, and then we bring in some water nymph. And so you really get the highlight of that purple when you bring in the darker purple with it. And then we bring in Starman, which has some purple, but then it has this orangey peach to it. And then finally, we have mulled cider, which darkens that orangey peach. So there are the 4 colors of my Bambara wrap, and I am super excited about this one.
I kind of really want to copycat this.
Yeah. So, there's that. So well, peg. And then Andy and I yesterday, before the market opened, were walking around, and there was a wonderful designer who's out of Arizona, and she had the most gorgeous display. And her stuff is very open and airy and flowy, and it's very kind of wrap, poncho-like, fit, can be worn by any body type because it's just so flowy and open. And she had some kits, and she has her own yarn line as well. And we found the perfect kit for a future gift for Andy's mom. So we justified it that way, that I said, you go buy your mom a Christmas gift, and I'll do you the favor of knitting it. So the company's called Dan Doe Knit and Crochet, and she is a published designer. She had 2 books out, Rustic Crochet and Rustic Knitting. I almost bought a copy of Rustic Knitting, and then I was like, I'm spending too much money. And it is, the designer is Yumiko Alexander, and she was super sweet and very nice. Andy got to chatting with her several times. And so this is the ribbon weave shawl kit, and it looks like this. So
Really
it's
pretty.
kind of reminiscent of the poncho I did for Andy's mom this year, but it has some stockinette, and then it's got this swirl stitch pattern that makes this kind of wave going down the back, and it uses her Dando Silk Plus, which is a 76% silk, 24% cotton blend, and it's in this royal purple, and it's 227 yards to 50 grams, so that's about a fingering weight there. And so there's that really dark purple. So even though it's still purple, his mom loves purple, it's on the opposite end. It was very light purple what I made her before. And this one can be worn as a shawl, or there's a lace edging that is big enough to accompany buttons. So you can put buttons, and then you can button it up the side and wear it as an open slit poncho. So I couldn't say no to that. I was lucky enough that Andy said, yeah, I could get that. So those are my stash enhancements from this weekend.
I've already shown mine, so mine is already in a project.
All right, so we have a new giveaway this week, and we're going to be giving away a wonderful donation to the podcast by our yarn fairy, our fairy yarn mother. And this is a book by Kathy Karen called Cowl Girls. And this came out several years ago, I believe. The copyright on this is something 2010. So it's been out for a little bit. But it's got a lot of fun things in here, and something that you could probably whip up relatively quickly, especially if you're looking for gift knitting and things of that nature. So, Cowl Girls, the next big thing to knit. Next, as in your neck, which mine needs to be shaved. Anyway, to enter for this lovely giveaway this next 2 weeks, I will open a thread in our Ravelry group, which is the Dramatic Knits Video Podcast group. And you must be a member of the group, and you can only post once to be entered. And the conversation started this week is, what is something that you have never done but would like to try? So you could take that at a multitude of levels. That could be something knitting related, something craft related, something completely outside of crafting. I would love to hear about
Life's ambitions.
yeah, something you've wanted to bake or cook that you've never done. If you wanted to skydive or take a hot air balloon ride, bless you, but I will never do that in my life. I know that saddens Andy a lot because he likes to do some of those things. I don't know if he'd skydive, but I know he'd love to do a hot air balloon ride, and he'd love to zip line and stuff. And I hate heights, so what is something you would love to try but have never done? All right. Last episode we had a giveaway for a skein and a half-ish of Barocco Weekend DK. This is from the Rogers-esque sweater cardigan, or jacket cardigan, jacket sweat, whatever it is, that I finished. It was too small, but I did have an extra skein and a half in this squash color, and so I opened up a thread last week and I said, if you could live anywhere on Earth, where would you live? And before we recorded, I used the random number generator, and it selected number 26, which is Safe 54, and that's Cheryl from Illinois, so congratulations, Cheryl.
Yay.
Her response was, as a new grandma, I don't want to live far from my little ones, so at first the question overwhelmed me. As I thought about it, I think that I would like to live as a camp host at a national or state park. I was able to do a state park one season, and I love camping, my camper, and my little grandsons. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I am not one for the roughing it camping, but I do love witnessing nature and seeing state parks. I may complain about it a lot while I'm doing it because it's hot and I'm tired and I'm sweaty and all of that stuff. And Andy's downstairs right now because I can feel him doing it right now. He can hear me down the stairwell going, yes, you do. You are the biggest complainer and you are lying your face off saying that you love nature because you don't. But thinking back on it, the experiences that we've done are some of the best experiences that I've had in my life. So, like, you know, we've hiked Zion National Park in Utah twice. We've done Bryce Canyon in Utah. That one was really hot and very much uphill and switchbacks. Beautiful. Did not care to hike that. But I've seen the Grand Canyon. Didn't hike it at all because I hate heights again. No. But Antelope Canyon, we've hiked and done a photography tour in Arizona. That is by far probably the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen, second to Zion National Park. So get out there and go see nature if you can. I mean, don't do it too often. I mean, but so I applaud you, Cheryl. So congratulations. If you will please email me via Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, and let me know your first and last name and mailing address. I will get that yarn out to you as soon as possible. All right. Our July Race to the Finished Object contest is coming to a close. You only have another couple of days, but I will open the thread for August on August 1st. So, do you want to talk about how that works?
No.
No? She's not used to it. She's got the feature designer down. But.
So our Race to the Finished Object contest is you basically can finish any project during the month of August and enter it. And you don't have to start it in August, but you do have to finish it in August in order for it to count. Whatever pattern, whatever yarn, whatever, really, you can enter. And we have 2 fabulous prizes.
That is true. So we'll pull for a physical prize and then a pattern prize from our featured designer, who is Barbara Benson. Wonderful, lovely soul. I told you I subscribed. She has a YouTube channel. I've subscribed to her. Watch Barbara knit. And she is just so bubbly and excited. And I watched now 2 videos of her. And the first one, she's like, here's my new design. And it was gloriously simple but beautiful and showcased variegated yarns so wonderfully. And I was like, going over to Ravelry and queuing that right up. So go check her out. Watch Barbara knit. Check out her patterns, which we have linked on our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. All right, so we're going to move into center stage, which is all things leading men fiber arts. I hope you'll stick with us. It's just going to be a few more minutes, literally like 3. And Callie's going to pick a few yarns. There may only be 10 in there. I'm not sure, but let me talk to you about our upcoming shows and August colorway of the month. August does not have a colorway of the month. As I've stated before, we schedule in 2 months to take off so that we have 10 throughout the year, 10 new colorways, give or take. There may be other ones that come out for special reasons. I will say if you go to Stitches Midwest, we have a new Bears colorway called Monsters of the Midway. I have a little bit on sock that I did extra from a wholesale order that requested it. So there'll be a few if Amber doesn't snag them all as she's setting up our booth, which, by the way, if you're coming to Stitches Midwest and you are a fan of the Yarn Hoarder podcast, definitely stop by our booth. Amber will be there with us all weekend, unless she's shopping, so then she'll be meandering around. Yeah, so no new colorway for August, but we'll be back with a new colorway. We already have an idea and inspiration that is going to be lovingly linked to our good friend Sarah Abram, who's the designer that we love and talk about a lot on the podcast, and she's going to be expecting next month, or will be having her baby next month. So she may be around Stitches Midwest as well. So talked about the colorway. Let's talk about Stitches Midwest this weekend. As I said, it is Thursday night preview for those of you who are attending Stitches Midwest and taking classes. The market is open from 10 to 6 on Friday and Saturday and 10 to 4 on Sunday. And we are in booths 227 to 231. Amber will be joining us. Sarah should be showing up at some point, I hope. And we are premiering her new shawl, which is called Hoopoo, which is based after the bird. I did not, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. I did the whole, listen to it online. But it is a beautiful bird with some very geometric designs, and she's recreated that in a shawl. So we're going to have a bunch of kits, in general, let me just say. It's kind of all the Sarah kits, minus a few of her shawls and things. So we've been working really hard on that, but she's just premiered this pattern this week, so it's going to be fresh in everybody's mind. And so we're excited about Stitches Midwest because it's one of our best shows of the year. So 2 weeks after that, we'll be at the Michigan Fiber Festival in Allegan, Michigan. That's August 18th through the 20th. And I think I'm in building, I don't know, C? Booth 33, I think. I'm not sure. I forget. It's just, we're going to have a small 10 by 10 booth, but we're going to jam pack as much yarn in there as we can. And then next time I'll tell you about shows that are coming up after that. So, but we'll record again before Michigan. So, all right, let's show you what's been updated to the shop recently these past 2 weeks. On our new Diva base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, we have saffron, lovely orange. And you get 600 yards in this of a fingering weight. It's 150 grams. And then on our showcase base, which is 100% superwash merino, 490 yards, we have Darkest Hour, which is a black, semi-solid black with just the subtlest hints of gray throughout it. On our soliloquy base, which is 150 grams of 100% superwash BFL, which is blue-faced Leicester wool, you get 657 yards. This is Drama Queen. Next up on showcase as well, we have Turkey Run. Beautiful speckled fall color. Followed up by Copper Cloud on Dramaturg, which is 100% superwash merino. DK weight, you get 250 yards to 150 grams. On Showstopper Intermission, this is a 50-gram skein of Showstopper, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. 231 yards, you get Orchard Slope. On Show Stealer, which is our MCN, our merino cashmere nylon, 435 yards of a fingering weight, we have Love You to Pieces. Love this speckled Reese's Pieces inspired colorway. And on Diva, again, we have Winter Night. And finally on Diva, we have My Lip Gloss Be Poppin'. So if you like that hat, but you're like, that'd be a gorgeous shawl. Lovely drape in this Diva base. So you can check out the shop, leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. And you can join our Ravelry group, Facebook group, and follow us on Instagram. We'd love to have you over there. We did a little giveaway this past 2 weeks, so if you're following us in all the places, you'll know about our giveaways, our discounts and coupon codes that we do from time to time, and our updates and new colorways. So That's it for Center Stage. If you want to follow Dramatic Knits, you can follow our Ravelry group, Dramatic Knits, video podcast group. You can find the show notes at dramaticknits.com. And as always, you can find the show on iTunes and YouTube. We'd love for you to subscribe there, leave comments, star ratings, what have you, reviews, things of that nature. So, until we see you again in about 2 weeks,
We hope you
knit something dramatic.